Hey everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor and pleasure of chatting with bassist Joe Gittleman. Yay! Joe, we always like to go to the past. How did you get started in music and particularly on bass?
Friends, somebody's got a drum kit, someone's got a guitar, and kids want to start a band. It was just that was what was needed in that particular group of friends. So I didn't have one, but a friend's older brother had one. We borrowed a bass for the weekend, and by the end of that weekend, we were fighting our way through cover songs and that kind of thing. So yeah, that was the story. Out of necessity,
Nice.
I became a bass player.
Nice. Now, are you self-taught or did you pursue further studies?
I'm very self-taught. Anything I really understand or know about theory is kind of understood on the neck of the guitar, kind of. I think that most of my education was from listening to a lot of cool music and going on tour and roadieing for bands and that kind of thing. My education was sort of just trying to be around the show, carry something in, find a way in, that kind of thing. So not a lot of sort of traditional music instruction for me. No.
Gotcha. You're currently playing with the Kilograms. I love how genres kind of end up having multiple choice blends because there's kind of ska, reggae, punk merged in. It's not down one central lane. What led you to this particular genre of music and interest?
Wow, that's a big question, Raul. One I'd have to really probably think about to answer honestly, truthfully, but accurately, I should say. When I was a kid, I'll tell you this. I was asked recently sort of about my earliest memory of this kind of music. When I was young, my dad was a big fan of the Harder They Come album. Do you know The Harder They Come?
Mm-hmm.
It was a film and had a really outstanding soundtrack with Jimmy Cliff and a bunch of artists. So this was early 70s ska moving into rock steady, moving toward reggae. And, and I was at that point, I was a kid. I was a little kid. And I hear a lot of that music in the house, was probably maybe sowed some seeds, perhaps, But then, it was when we were teenagers. I saw the English Beat in 1981. I would have been 14 years old, So as a teenager, ska music and punk music, there was a little scene in Boston, and people were building it themselves, and we're going to shows at church basements and VFW halls and those types of things. So the music, it just sort of accompanied the life choices and the lifestyles and the friend group, and the music came along with that. I think to some degree, So those are my early memories of that music. I'm into becoming a big English Beat fan, and seeing that was the first big show I ever saw. Well, actually no, I saw it's not true. I saw Barry Manilow at Harvard Stadium as I might have been 6 or 7, and then a handful of years later, seeing the English Beat. It was just a very much different experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and it's fascinating, again, the things that will lead you. This music is very, and comparatively, I'll say, so much more upbeat. If we were to say, like, with Manilow, you can think of, so many tunes like Mandy and things that are more forlorn and, I don't know, teenage angst, destitute kind of thing. But the music I'm hearing from the Kilograms is kind of get up and move around and kind of, it's so much more up-tempo and upbeat. So definitely very, very different there. How did you come to join the Kilograms?
Oh boy, well, a very specific sort of weird little story. I was working on a record of my own, just doing a solo record, really sort of for fun. I found this really great. I live in northern New Hampshire, by the way. I found this really great studio called Mojo just over the hill from my house, and some great musicians hung out there. And I was working on my own record. And a friend's house burned down in Maui. So this would have been fall of 2 years ago, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever those Maui fires were. And, not soon after, some friends started talking online about trying to raise some funds or show some support, show some love and support this friend Michelle had sort of been along. She's been very supportive of the ska scene, punk scene, and is well known, you know, as a supporter. And so I love that idea. And on this little Facebook group, there was me and some other sort of friends, and Sammy K, my friend from the Kilograms, was in that little chat too. And we were really just sort of trying to offer a little advice. These other folks weren't musicians. They weren't really in the business. They were just fans and friends of Michelle's. And so we were part of this team, just kind of talking about it online. And at one point, I just shot a message to Sammy and said, "Hey, we should do something collaboratively for this album. This is a compilation album called Black Sand Relief or something like that." Yeah, Black Sand Relief. And me and Sammy just started working on a tune. You know, I had an idea for send it to him, but we did it remote. You know, I kind of sketched out a tune, and he jumped in and did some overdubs and wrote the bridge and, you know, that kind of thing. It was just sort of out of trying to be a part of this thing that was in support of this friend who just lost her house in Maui. And it went well, and it was fun, and it was cool. And my only real other idea about it was when it was getting ready to come out, I just said, "Hey, Sammy, let's give it a name. You know, let's not say Joe Gittleman and Sammy K or something. Let's give it a little name, you know." And one of the other folks on that thread came up with the name Kilograms. And I didn't know for a long time that Kilograms is Sammy K and Joe Gittleman is the K and G. I didn't know that for a while, but that was the story there. And, you know, you record one song, you have a good rapport with a new co-collaborator, and the song sounds cool, and you like what they've injected into your sort of ideas, and you start to go, "Oh wow, that's cool," you know. And our other guitar player Jay got involved at that point with the recording, and it was probably within 2 weeks after that, me and Sammy had another probably 8 or 9 songs kind of in action, you know, in the works. So that was it.
Nice.
That's all it was.
Nice. Well, I think probably because we operate in the English system and not the metrics, we wouldn't think immediately 2 kilograms. But I get the abbreviation, absolutely. So you guys have a new album that's getting ready to drop April 4th. We're in 2025. Beliefs and Thieves. Tell us a little bit about this project.
Oh boy. Well, you know, we continued with this remote stuff. This band lives all over the place. We've got Cincinnati, and we've got Kentucky, and now we've got a member in Austin. We've got a member in Indiana, and I live in northern New Hampshire. So we just kept going about our business sort of remotely, working up an EP worth of new tunes, and decided to go on tour. You know, we got offered a show. We got offered a good gig from this Supernova International Ska Festival down in Virginia. And with that date, sort of that offer on the calendar, it's like, all right, well, if we're going to show up and do that, we're going to have to be a band before that, you know. So just started booking some gigs, our own headline things. We played a skate park. We played some little DIY things, shows in Cincinnati, kind of in front of Sammy and Jay's friends, just kind of very down home things. You know, your first show,
yeah,
you know, you don't know what's going to happen, you know, and I wanted to play music and see if there's a band there, and just follow it for as long as we're all excited and enjoying it and feeling like we're doing something cool. So there's not a lot riding on it, to be quite frank with you. But we got this cool album coming out, and so to me, it's already kind of overachieved its, you know, intended result, I guess you could say.
Well, and it'd be a good time to talk a little bit about how you get your sound. What are you playing on?
I have an old 70s 74 jazz bass that I've had for a long time that the neck finally just gave up. It kind of twisted and needed refretted, and a luthier was telling me like $2,500 to fix that, to really fix that guitar. But also I had started using P basses in the studio a lot more, like on the last few Boston's records leading up to where we are now. I started using P basses more, and I don't know, I started to like the fatter necks on guitars. And so now I use that same 70s jazz bass. I bought a $300 Japanese 62 P bass reissue neck and put it on that jazz bass. I like a jazz bass with a P bass neck, and I don't know where all those are. You know, you see a lot of people playing P basses with jazz bass necks, you know, but where are the reciprocal leftover parts? I think they're being sold as parts, not as basses so much. So anyway, I have been using the same SVT 60s SVT 810 and jazz bass for 30 plus years, or something like that, 35 years probably. I'm not a real gearhead at all. Somebody will go, oh, you should try this little Sans amp or this special DI box that does this or that. It's just like anything that makes it harder to plug in and start playing to me is just like time in the wrong direction.
Indeed.
And well, you know where the sound comes from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and so much of it also is what the music is asking for, because when let's say we were talking like death metal and other things, the pedal board, all of the effects, blah. But when you're trying to, especially again, I think ska, reggae, a lot of times, even kind of to the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm more so with reggae. I've jokingly said, you never change your strings because you want that dull, thuddy kind of sonic impact there. So anyway, as we look ahead, what's in the works for you and the Kilograms?
What is in the works for us? Well, we're going on tour. Our first West Coast tour is coming right up in a matter of hours. In fact, I'm going to head down to Boston and fly to the West Coast, LA, San Francisco. Eight dates with our friends Big D and the Kids Table. This is a band that I've produced a couple records for over the years. Long-standing friends that me and Sammy and the guys have known. So we're really excited about it. But what's in it for the Kilograms, or what's ahead for the Kilograms is more music. I mean, we already have another record ready to go, ready to record. We've really I think fallen into become a good group of collaborators. So we're just going to keep working on songs and get more people to listen to them, I suppose. But have fun being a band. Write songs. That's why I've done it the whole time. Is because I enjoy writing songs. So that's sort of having a real outlet for that, but not only an outlet for that, but friendships around that, and a combination of people that are creating something that has a cool jagged edge to it that is maybe different than other things, or special because of the combination of people. Just the magic of a band. I want to follow the magic, see where that goes. Yeah, that's all we really have planned. I mean, we just like making records and putting out music and playing shows, hopefully giving people a good time, that kind of thing. So.
Well, and if people want to know where you're going to be or find out what's happening next, where's the best place for them to look?
Well, you'll find the Kilograms on Instagram, certainly, and Facebook. Yeah, find us online. We got a record coming out. We're playing with Dropkick Murphys just around the release of our record in April, and we'll be out there this summer, and we'll be working on more music. And Raul is just like, we're going to be seeing what it is and pushing to see what the Kilograms is, and trying to expand on the idea or the sort of seed of that idea. So who knows?
Nice. Well, Joe, I know you have a plane to catch. We appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule. Folks, you've seen him here on Bass Musician Magazine, Joe Gittleman.
Hey, thank you very much, Raul.